maybe Somalia didn't sound like a good idea to bring up, but if government's so great, then the absence of government should be absolutely horrible, and to show that there are actually some benefits in a horrible place as that country was the point of it. I'm not saying that's an example of anything. They started with pretty much nothing. They have awful infrastructure to even begin with. But anyway, that was the only example I could think of recent where a government actually supposedly ceased to exist. But anyways, politicians and political theorists, they always promise the same thing: lasting peace and prosperity for the governed. But each time a new political politician or political theory is tried out, the first thing that happens is the opposite of peace and prosperity. They reduce peace by aggressing against the governed, and they reduce prosperity by stealing wealth through taxation or some kind of eminent domain. To get away with this violence, justifications must be created. The divine right of kings, the Constitution, or the democratic vote of the majority have all been used as justifications for aggressing against peaceful people. The democratic socialists are no different in this respect. One could even say they're staunch conservatives of the status quo because they condone the leviathan that is the state and suggest that their philosophy can use it for good. They promise peace and prosperity, yet let the door open for non-peaceful and non-prosperous means to get there. The idea of democracy sounds nice and conjures feelings of giving power to the people, but in reality it creates win-lose, winner-takes-all scenarios in which each voting member tries to get the most personal benefit with little regard to the cost. Instead, I'd like to propose the challenge that you look at free market anarchism as being more democratic than what the democratic socialists are advocating. In our situation, everyone votes with their dollars in the market, and in this sense, may hold back votes or not participate. Each transaction represents a win-win scenario. There's no winner-takes-all, but rather you pay for what you get for. You pay for what you get, and you get what you pay for. Suppliers, conversely, only earn what they deserve to earn through providing products or services people are willing to pay for. These votes also serve as an indicator to the public servants or producers and sellers what is desired and at which quantity and at which cost. One thing we talked about today that I feel like I wish the other side could have understood better is the difference between the force when, like, the market uses force, say, to enforce a contract. If a loan's taken out and then you stop paying back that loan, well, you pretty much committed theft, and you do own the balance of what you borrowed. You entered into that contract. You could have avoided it. However, when the government does it, you don't enter into that voluntarily. You don't agree to anything. The government just says, this is what you owe, pay up, or we're using force against you. There's also comments made about our theory versus experimentation, and I would say that all governments are basically experiments. And I think most states today are not doing a very good job of providing the things that they claim that they should, peace and prosperity. Just because coercive governments exist all over the place doesn't mean that it's the way it ought to be. Moving away from coercion is the way we ought to be moving. Our argument's not utopian, as some may suggest. Embracing the non-aggression axiom does not itself eliminate all initiation of force. As in society today, force used outside the government is nearly universally condemned, yet it still occurs. However, it's a much more common and destructive use of force, that which is seen as legitimate, the initiation of force by the state, that must be condemned for any hope of lasting peace and prosperity to ever be achieved.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, that concludes our debate this evening. I want to thank all of you for coming. I hope you feel that it was a productive use of your time and that you had some new insight or a new way of looking at things or understanding things. And especially I'd like to thank our 4 debaters. We really appreciate your time and effort in putting this together.